myself, I've been able to get admissions in masters on full scholarship, PhD on full scholarship. So we actually know what we are doing here. So you have to know that, right? How are you doing today? I decided to come here and answer some of your questions because I know a lot of people have been saying, oh, Dr. Linda, hey, I wish I could ask you this question. What's the best way to get in touch with you? This, that. Of course, we have the best way for you to get in touch with us, which is to send us email, right? You can send us an email, admissionadvantagemigration.ca. This is the email address, admissionadvantagemigration.ca. But it's also very important that from time to time, I'm going to come here and I'm going to answer your question. So how are you doing? How are you? This looks a little bit dark. Let's put the light on. How are you doing? So, what is the goal? The goal is that by the time this video ends, I should have been able to answer at least 10 questions from 10 people watching me live and give you in-depth responses to these questions so that you go away from this video learning at least one new thing. Should we call that a goal? Does that work for you? So how are you going to ensure? If you're watching this as a replay, awesome, just watch. But if you're watching this and this is you're joining me live, because this was done as a live session on my Facebook page. If you're watching this and you're joining me live, then ask your questions. Ask your questions. Ask your questions. That is the energy for today. Ask your questions. I know a lot of people have joined, and before I even start and while we're waiting for people to drop their questions, I'm going to first of all start by acknowledging you and saying thank you so much for joining. Augustine, thank you so much. Tony, thank you so much. Ransom, thank you so much for joining. Ifeanyi, thank you so much for joining. Ify, thank you so much for joining. Dennis, thank you so much for joining. Innocent, thank you for joining. Stewart, Michael, Franklin, Franca, Joseph, thank you so much for joining the live session. We actually have two Francis here at least. That's so good. Goodness, thank you for joining. So now over to your questions. What question would you like me to answer today? And I said, if you're watching this as a replay, ignore this question and you can probably skip to where I started answering people's question. I am sure by the time you are leaving here today, you should have learned something new. And let me introduce myself. My name is Dr. Linda Iheme, and I'm an educational consultant with Vantage Migration. And myself and my team, we train graduates and professionals who want to relocate abroad. We show them how to do that successfully through the study abroad route. We show you how to get admission, scholarship, study loan, study visa, so that you can relocate by yourself or with your wife or husband or with your children, the entire family. So when you are relocating through the study abroad route, whether you are going alone or with family, that works for you, right? So this is what we do. We post content, we answer questions. Please, I mentioned it already that anytime you want to get across to Dr. Linda and her team, all you have to do is send us an email. We don't answer questions inboxes anymore. We don't use like WhatsApp to answer questions for students. Please be careful and protect yourself online. All you really have to do is what? Send us an email, admissionadvantagemigration.ca, and we will respond to you. That is all you need to do, my dear. All right, so having said that, let's look at the first question that we have here. Also, if you want to join my live session, feel free, request to join my live session. I'll bring you on board and then we'll go from there. All right, so we have so I said, Dr. Linda, can it be possible for you to do the visa application yourself? What does that mean? Do you mean if we can do visa application for you? So what, again, let me repeat. We show you how to do it by yourself. This is what Vantage Migration does. All right? So let's go to the next question. The next question says, somebody is asking about our masterclass. Please send us an email. If you have questions, you've attended our webinar before and you have questions, the right thing to do is to send us an email and we'll be able to answer. Who knows the email address? I just showed it a few minutes ago. Who knows the email address? You can comment it. Comment the email address so that other people can see it, because some people, no matter how you show it, they will still not get it. So let's help them. Let's help their ministry. All right? Now, let's see other questions that people have. I hope I get a question that I can actually give in-depth knowledge. One moment. So we have Ify asking question. Ify, send us an email. If you're a Vantage Migration student, or you've worked with us before, or you've attended the webinar, send us an email. And this is the email address. I've said it over and over again, and people keep repeating the same thing. This is the email address: admission@vantagemigration.ca. Send us an email and we'll be able to give you in-depth answer to your question. So for today, I just want to answer, it's like people who probably, they just follow me online, they just started following us, they just have one or two things to clarify about this whole study abroad process. But if you want to ask us about like something somewhere at the back, somebody like Ify who knows the email address, Ify, why would you not email us? Why would you not email us? Don't respond to that question. It's rhetorical. Why would you not email us? Send us an email so that you stop wasting your time. All right? Okay, let's look at questions that people actually have. Yeah, somebody, good. Thank you. This question is from Japhet. And he said, what does it cost to apply for a PhD program? What does it cost? That's a tricky one because there's no set of cost. But one thing I must tell you is that most PhDs are fully funded. In fact, I don't advise anyone who is looking to go for PhD to go for a program that is not fully funded as a PhD student, or that is not, at least that 90% of the funding is covered. Most admissions, most PhD admissions are fully funded. So if you are going for a PhD abroad, chances are that probably if you need to spend money, you're just spending money on maybe your flight, your application fee, your visa application, stuff like that. But the actual program is usually fully funded, which means it also comes with money to cover your living expenses. But the real question probably will be, how do you get the admission, right? How do you know what the school is asking for? How do you find the schools? That is where I'm going to advise you to go to our study abroad webinar. Start from there. Go to www.vantagemigration.ca. www.vantagemigration.ca. You'll be able to get our process, how it works, how you can benefit, what it entails. Right? Myself, I've been able to get admissions in masters on full scholarship, PhD on full scholarship. So we actually know what we are doing here. So you have to know that, right? Let's say so Gmo said, what if the visa is not ready before school resumption? What do you do next? You can defer the admission. That's what you can do. You can defer the admission to a time that works for you and work for the embassy. And then once your visa is out, then you proceed. So simply you have to defer. But now I'm sure the next question will be, how do I defer? You see, that's where training comes in. So when you get trained, you know exactly what to do. Because I noticed that most of the questions people are going to ask you that look very simple, you will see that when you give them that simple answer, it doesn't solve their problem. That is what I've noticed over and over again. This is why we now went on to say, you know what? Get trained on how to do this process by yourself. So that even when you ask questions, let's say for example now, if somebody who went through Vantage Migration training asks this question, right? And I gave this answer that I gave, they will know exactly what to do next. If I say defer the admission, they will know who to contact, how to contact the person, where to get the information that they will use to contact the person. They will know this. But if a normal person passing along the way says, ask this same question, I say, oh, defer the admission, they will go, where do I start? How do I do it? What should I tell the school? Oh, how am I going to know who to contact? You see, training is important. It's important. That's one of the things we do at Vantage Migration. Please remember to start with our free study abroad webinar at www.vantagemigration.ca. Okay? Who knows the webinar link? Can you type it so that other people who don't know it can actually be able to, click and go to it? But please don't type the wrong thing. If you don't know it 100% for sure, do not type. And I will show it again just for clarity. You can take a screenshot, www.vantagemigration.ca, and if you know it, please type it, okay? One moment. Let's see. Questions. Good. Richard said, I have emailed you before without any reply from you. Good. I love that. What usually happens is that when people send email to the wrong email address, the email never gets to us, so they never get response. So if you have not gotten response, there is only one problem. You have typed the email address wrongly. You have typed the email address wrongly. So what you need to do is go back to the email that you sent, take a look at the email address, check it letter for letter with this. This is why I keep saying take a screenshot. Check the email letter for letter with admission@vantagemigration.ca, letter for letter, so that you can identify where the problem is, correct it, and resend the email, and you'll be shocked. Once you send the email to the correct email address, within less than 24 hours, you get a response. In less than 24 hours, okay? So, at least I've helped you to diagnose the problem. Emanuela has a question after attending the webinar. Emanuela, please send us an email. That is how to do it. When you attend the webinar, you have a question, send us an email. Even at the webinar, we told you exactly what to do next, right? Follow those processes. If you cannot proceed, send us an email. That is how to proceed. All right? And for all those who have attended our webinar who have one question or the other, send us an email. It is safe to say that I would like to answer questions for people who have not attended our webinar before, because if you attend our webinar, you have heard everything. Plus, we do question and answer at the end. Plus, you know exactly how to contact us, because now that means the question you have, probably we need some extra in-depth answer. So it is better for you if you send us an email so that we can take our time and respond to your questions, okay? Now, somebody said, does Canada accept second class lower for masters? The answer is yes. Do I need to go for IELTS before Canada accepts me? This means the person does not know what IELTS is. Why? Second class lower is grade, right? IELTS has nothing to do with your grade. IELTS is a test of whether you can speak and understand English very well. So when you tell me you have to do you need IELTS, it means you don't know the difference between what your grade stands for and what IELTS stands for. And you have merged it. So, which is one of the reasons I'm doing this video, right? To call your attention to it. IELTS is a test of English language, not a test of intelligence or grade. Your grade is different. IELTS is different. So now, Ransom, could you rephrase your question? I'm sure it will be different now that you know the difference between the two. You have asked two questions in one, but the real problem is that you have shown that you don't know the difference, which is just what I clarified. All right? So let's look at... I'm from Cameroon and I'm interested. This question is from Valentine. Yes, start with our free study abroad webinar. At the webinar, you're going to get all the information you need to decide whether you should proceed further or not. Right? So that's why you should do it. Someone is asking if they can get admission and scholarship for September intake in next year. So the way I'm going to answer that question, because I know that different people will come across this video at different time. So study abroad takes 6 to 12 months to process. And if you are going to Canada, for example, you want to prepare for 12 months. If you are going to a country like UK, 6 months is enough. If you are going to a country like Canada, you want to prepare for 12 months. If you are going to a country like US, 8 to 12 months, okay. But in general, we'll say 6 months to 12 months. So the question you need to ask yourself is, are you within 6 months to 12 months borderline from the time you want to resume? If yes, then the answer is yes. If no, you will start now and then work for, like, it's like, oh, instead of September, can you resume January? But you have to know that scholarship have timing. If you're also doing this and you want scholarship, there is a chance that you're not serious with your life. Sorry, my dear. There is a chance you're not serious with your life. Okay? So, make sure you get started, get trained, so that you can proceed with the speed of light. That's the best for you. Alright? So, let's see. Someone is asking if they need IELTS to migrate to Canada. If you are from an English-speaking country, which Adams, I know you are from an English-speaking country because you just typed in English now. If you are from an English-speaking country and you did your undergraduate studies in English, then you do not need IELTS to relocate abroad. Does it mean that one school here and there will not ask you for IELTS? They will. But when they do, what do you do next? That is why training is important. If you choose not to go that route, you can go the route of writing IELTS. Perhaps you can write it 4 or 5 times throughout next year. Then you decide whether you want to look for the non-IELTS route or not. I've told you, our students do not need IELTS to relocate abroad. Okay? Someone said, is the webinar free? I said, attend our free webinar. Then somebody is asking me if the free webinar is free. Can you imagine that question? The person is asking me if the free webinar is free. Attend free study abroad webinar. Say, is the free study abroad webinar free? Good. Who asked that question? Oh my God. Let's look at more questions, okay? Someone is asking for transfer. You don't need to transfer. You can find a new program and apply for that program, get the admission, abandon the one you were doing before, and move over to the new program. Instead of waiting for when you're going to transfer, because trying to transfer puts you under lots of constraint. And chances are that you wouldn't even be able to do it. And secondly, the person asking that question is spamming this. When you post your questions, allow us to get to your stage or to your question, because we are answering step by step as people are asking. Instead of you are asking the same question, you are typing it 10 times. Very soon, you'll be restricted. Don't do that. Okay? Let's look at more questions. Richard said, please, may I have the link for the masterclass? Go to, start from our free study abroad webinar. Go to www.vantagemigration.ca. Take a screenshot. Take a screenshot and comment done. Richard and the rest who needed the screenshot. Take a screenshot and comment done. Go to www.vantagemigration.ca. That is where attending this free study abroad webinar is compulsory for all those who want to work with Vantage Migration. It's not optional. It's compulsory. So the earlier you start, the better for you, all right? Have I answered up to 10 questions? Have I answered up to 10 questions? So please, last chance, comment your question before we call it a day. I can take like 3 more questions and then we call it a day, all right? Chris Bone, Please send us an email. Chris Bond, confirm that you have our email address. Do you have the email address? Chris, type it on this session. Type it. Type it on this session. Do you have our email address? Type it out so that I know that you have it. Then we have Dina Beatrice saying, please look into undergraduate program. Okay, I've heard you. Oh, somebody said, is age a barrier for master's program in Canada? Age is not a barrier. Why? Because age is not a barrier for education. Anybody can decide that this is the time they want to go and study. The most important thing is that you just have to, let's say, imagine you are 55 years old, you want to go and study masters, right? You will know that embassy will be wondering why. So you have to explain why to them. That's just the only thing you have to do, because your age is high. Not that anybody will say you are 55 years old, you can't do masters. That doesn't happen. Can I use HND for masters in Canada? There are ways, and Canada is not the only option, and that's not the only program you can do. So, perpetual, get trained. That's what you need to do. What you need is training, so that you will know how to navigate the study abroad process, even though you have HND. That's what you need. Without training, you will go and start applying for pre-masters or undergraduate program. You will get visa denial. 2 years later, you have not relocated. What are your options? Perpetual and any other person who have HND watching me now, what are your options? Get trained. Get trained. Don't scrabble for breadcrumbs of information. It's like you can feel it that you are special, right? You are special. You like a special need child. You are special. Get trained so that you can move with the speed of light without wasting more time. Or you choose the hard way. You start BSc again. You get visa denial because you're already a graduate. You do it over and over again. You get a ban. Then you say abroad hates you. You know, you can you choose the hard way, or you can choose the easy way. Your choice. Your choice. Even heaven is choice. Right? Like one of the sweetest things that humans crave for. Yet it is made by choice. Why wasn't he made compulsory? Nobody knows. So it's your choice. Japheth is asking more questions. Get trained. Japheth, confirm that you have the link to our free study abroad webinar. Japheth, confirm that you have the link to our free study abroad webinar. Type the link out so that I can see it, because that is how you have to get started. So we have Philip here. Philip say, oh, I'm coming to Canada. That's awesome. You can send us an email if there is a reason you are contacting us, by the way. If not, why are you contacting us? You can always send an email, all right? So let's see. Yeah, I think by now I have answered up to 10 questions. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for joining me for this session today. I'm super happy, and I'm sure that by mere fact of you also being here, you have learned one or two things. Especially, you have learned how to proceed on your study abroad journey. You have learned, which is by attending our free study abroad webinar. Go to www.vantagemigration.ca. You have also learned how to contact Dr. Linda and her team directly, not by chatting inbox on Facebook and Instagram, not by chatting inbox on Twitter and TikTok, not by looking for WhatsApp number to chat or looking for somebody to call, but by sending us an email to a specific email address, admission@vantagemigration.ca, and you should be fine, right? So take good care of yourself. And what assignment am I giving to you today? Attend the free study abroad webinar. I asked, who knows the free study abroad webinar link? You can comment it so that others are able to see. But please, even if you are following somebody's link, make sure that you are looking at www.vantagemigration.ca. All right? And take good care of yourself. Till I see you again. Bye.